Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. You see a lot of, I guess, weird things in places all the time, I think. I'm not just going to try to point out, like, a specific place, but where I live at, I don't tend to see too much weird stuff, but every once in a while, I'll see something that kind of like puzzles me. Of like, that should not be here. Or why is that even here? Not like a person or like an object really, but like an animal, I think. It's kind of weird because I don't live in like a giant city. And I don't live in like a metropolitan area, right? I live kind of like in a neighborhood next to some like fields and not like in the country really, but just like on the edge of the frontier, I guess you could say. And sometimes you get little weird animals every once in a while. Like one time my brother was outside. He said he freaked out. He was doing the lawn and he freaked out because he saw a possum, which I didn't know. I've been saying the name of that animal wrong for a long time. It's not just called a possum. Apparently, it's an opossum, which kind of freaked me out because I've gone my entire life, like calling it just a possum, and after that, I figured out it was called an opossum. I still call it just a possum, Possum, minus the O. And I just feel like it's just like, not like I hate the word opossum, but I'm already so far gone into calling it just a possum that I'm not going to just start saying an opossum. Right? Like, I mean, like, what is that called? Like the Mandela effect? Or like you think that something is said or spoken one way, but it's actually done another way. Right? Isn't that like what that is? Or something like that? Like, there's like how do you spell Fruit Loops? How do you spell it? How is it spelled on the box? Is it Fruit for fruit or Froot for fruit? Kind of play it off like, with put the little, Fruit Loops as the font. It's actually Froot loops. So there you go, kids. There you go. Now you know. And hopefully this podcast teaches you something. That way you don't go out in life and get played by somebody or figure it out the hard way in a certain way. This is the same thing with Looney Tunes. I believe Looney Tunes, Looney, but Tunes, I believe it's spelled Tunes, not Toons. I mean, I gotta look it up now because I feel like I'm a Mandela-ing effect myself. I just gotta really be accurate here because could you imagine if I was wrong? Yeah, Tunes, Looney Tunes, which makes no sense if you think about it because cartoon is spelled Cartoon, and I just thought that tune would have been the tune from the cartoon. I guess not. Totally a Mandela effect type of thing, or totally just like to throw somebody off of how that word is spelled. Like, imagine if that was part of a spelling bee, like, spell Looney Tunes. Like, what if it was like, you didn't have to spell actual words. You had to spell like these, these things that were spelled differently. And you had to remember which one it was spelled differently and how to spell it. I think that a lot of people would get Looney Tunes wrong or possum wrong. That's not really how you spell possum. There's an O. but it's taken out. But back to the part where you see weird shit, weird stuff. Saw a possum in the yard. I was like, whoa, why is that there? That should not be there. Totally something that kind of catches you off guard. And luckily I didn't see it. My brother did. He was traumatized by it. It pissed him off. He was like, I saw a possum. It scared me. It walked towards me. I was like, shit, why is it not running away? And I was like, hold on, bro. I thought opossums were dormant. Or not dormant. They were like nocturnal. Like they roamed out at night. They weren't like daytime animals. And that's all I've ever heard was just that they were nighttime animals. So I was like, that's weird. This possum, or opossum, sorry, has the balls to just wander around outside in broad daylight when someone's, cutting their grass and stuff, and just like, hey, how you doing, bud? I'm your friend Opossum. How you doing? And straight up no fear, was just like, hey, how's it going? And I remember like maybe like last week, I saw another opossum scurry like across the street. I was driving, it was like at 6 a.m., maybe a little bit before that, just kind of scurry across the street as I was driving. I didn't hit him, but I was like, oh shoot, there's another one. Like, why are you here? Like, where do possums even come from? Because are they just like big rats? Are they like these like some type of like other mammal, like another type of rodent that's not really a rodent? Like, I don't think that a little bunny or a rabbit is a rodent. I think it's called something else. I don't know. I'm not really sure the what family of animal that it comes from. That kind of freaks me out. Also, whenever you see like a coyote in your neighborhood, that's also like a thing that's like, oh, you should not be here. You should not be here. That always kind of freaks me out, because I feel like, or I've heard stories and tales that coyotes have been known to murder, little doggies. Just take them away, and boom, there's a snack. Your little dog is a snack for a coyote. I always thought that wouldn't happen as frequently because, one, I just kind of feel like coyotes would not go near, houses and like concrete and stuff like that. Like, they'd be like, that's where we don't go, because that's not really ground. That's asphalt and concrete and a little bit of lawn, but that's not where we, that's not where we belong, fellas. Let's take it back. Go back to the wild, where we actually belong. But no, they come in sometimes and have, you can hear them at night, them howling at the moon, or just yapping and stuff like that. Then you hear not barks, you hear dogs kind of bark at them to like say, shut the fuck up, or go to bed, or get the fuck out of here. However, that's me picturing what a dog is saying when a coyote is like, howling at the moon or whatever. I don't know. I just kind of feel like that's what they're saying. But like stuff that doesn't belong there, I feel like the dogs, though, would have been able to sort of communicate with coyotes, only because, coyotes are dogs and dogs are dogs. Therefore, I feel like that they would be able to communicate by barking at each other. But, science will tell you that that's not really the case. Apparently, animals, well, for what I've been told by maybe not scientists, but people who like to act like they're scientists or animal experts, is like the barking isn't really necessarily a language between dogs, or it is, but their brains can't comprehend it as a language. The barking itself, I fear. Like actually saying words in barking. Like can a dog bark and like say, hey, what's up, other dog? How you doing today? My day was good. How's yours? Like, could that be translated into barking? Or is that how dogs see it? Or is it so simple as get away, back off, and that's it? Like, if he's being threatened. Like, can a dog communicate hey, how you doing? Or how are you? I doubt it, but I'm no animal expert. I wish I knew. That would have been sick. That would be cool. I feel like I think the only like animals that have that type of capability are like elephants and dolphins and whales, certain whales that could actually do that. But I don't know. I really don't know. But dogs can definitely feel, right? Like they can read your emotion. They could read your mood. They can read like how you're feeling, and they'll comfort you, which I don't think a lot of other animals really do. Like I don't know if cats do. I've heard they kind of do something like that. Like they'll kind of hang out with you, but like not as much as dogs. I feel like even though I don't have a dog, I've been around dogs, and they are very comforting, and they kind of know like when you're happy, it reflects on them. When you're sad, it also reflects on them. So that's a pretty cool thing. That's pretty cool. Wouldn't it be awesome though to witness the dawn of the dog? Like what was like the first dog? There was a wolf, obviously, but something must have happened along the way. Either in the evolution of the wolf, or someone breeded a wolf with something, and then you got the first dog. I would have loved to known how that started, because man, dude, dogs are like so old, so old. Like, how did that even happen? Obviously the wolf didn't evolve into a dog because there's still wolves out there, right? So how the hell did we get from all wolves and all like, I guess you could say wild dogs like hyenas and all these other types of wild dogs out there, or dog-like species, and then we get the dog, the domesticated dog that can follow your orders and your commands and doesn't want to eat you, right? Because if you think about it, that's like the biggest thing that separates the wolf and the dog, is a dog doesn't really have an instinct to want to kill you and eat you for food, right? I mean, again, I don't own a dog, but I know people who do have dogs, and I've just seen how they kind of are, right? I've seen how they act amongst their owners. What sets them apart from a wolf or a hyena or a coyote, right? They don't want to, they're not going to gnaw your arm off just because, oh, shoot, I'm starving. Like a lion will do that. Like when people have like those big ass cats, like lions and tigers, some people have bears as pets, right? Those animals, like deep, like not deep inside them, but on the surface of their anatomy, in the surface of their being, that wild animal is still very, very prominent in their DNA at that point. Like, sure, you could cuddle a bear from him as or her as a cub, and he'll probably grow up and sort of know who you are, sort ofly, right? I don't think that they're smart enough to be like, yo, that's my homie, and he's my friend for life, And, maybe they do know. Maybe they do keep that memory. Maybe they do retain most of that knowledge. But you always hear about the tragedies that happen with these animals. Like, they either kill the person, or they, straight up kill them and eat them. They become food. They see you as food, right? Like, that's something that you can't train out of a wild animal. It's like, there's like a lot of things that I'm not an expert on, that I'm not I'm not well versed in speaking when it comes to owning animals. Like, of course you can own a dog, you can own a cat, you can own a mouse, a gerbil, a hamster, a guinea pig, right? Snakes, I believe you can own. They're at PetSmart. Right? Certain bugs like spiders, even though that's an arachnid, but you can own a spider. You can own a scorpion. You can have an ant hill, or not an ant hill, an ant farm, so you can own ants, essentially. But I'm not necessarily sure that you have the right to own a tiger or a lion or a bear. Like, I'm not going to make the claim and say that you can't, but I don't know if it's like a specific place you have to be, or a permit that you need, or something that allows you to own one of these wild animals. But I'm not well versed in that law. But when some people do, though, it's crazy. And then they're technically the owner of that animal. At least it seemed like I don't think it was like well covered, or at least well documented, at least in Tiger King, when that was a thing. And you saw a lot of animals that were owned by people, right? You saw lions, tigers, bears, obviously. Then you saw elephants. Then you saw like really exotic cats, like a white tiger, lions, or ligers, sorry. And then it's like, whoa, like, how does that all work out? How does that work out? I feel like it's a thing where it's like, if the animal is wild, again, this is just my speculation, and it's endangered, it is not allowed to be owned by humans. I feel like that's kind of in the ballpark area of the limitations to owning animals. Like, you can't own wild animals like that are endangered. Even I think that there was like a stat also in that documentary, that in Tiger King, that was like, there are more tigers that are domesticated in the United States than they are in the wild. I think that was a stat or something like that in that documentary, which is crazy to think about, man. Crazy, because these people that have these insane animals, like these wild beasts, these killing machines, they keep them to make money. I mean, if you've seen that Tiger King documentary, you just see how crazy some people will go to just to see tigers, and even little like tiger kittens, right? Just posting pictures, wanting to go see them, and you saw that entire business take shape, and it was crazy, And the people who would run those are not going to stop either. Like, oh shit, I'm making so much money letting people pet these tigers. Like, why would I stop? I need more tigers, actually. So it's like, whoa, they're just using wild animals to make a profit. I mean, if that's not American, I don't know what is. But it's crazy to think about. I mean, and not just like, getting back to the animals that you don't think that belong anywhere. I live in California, man. I'm lucky that I just see coyotes and possums, or opossums. I could live somewhere like in Connecticut, where they get a bunch of black bears in their neighborhoods. Imagine that, like, right? Your garbage is not safe outside. I mean, you don't really care, right? It's just garbage. But the bears will ransack it and just make an even bigger mess, right? Like, just imagine, like, you putting out your garbage, right? And you have that, not necessarily fear, but you got to worry that the bear or a bear can come by and be like, I kind of want a snack. I smell leftover pizza. I might have a little bit of that right now. Make a mess out of this guy's lawn or his backyard. Just kind of get in there, break his garbage can, just be on my way, It's a very inconvenience if you think about it. And that's not even the worst place that you can possibly live with, like, the wildlife entering your life and entering your home. Imagine if you lived in Florida. You live in Florida, bro. You got, like, alligators. You got pythons. You got geckos. You got, a bunch of other swampy animals, snakes, lizards. It's like, whoa. That's like a rainforest right there, That's a jungle. That's something that I would not want to live in because of that wildlife, And you see videos of, like, alligators just, like, chilling in someone's pool, or chilling, like, right outside their door. It's like, whoa, this is not safe. Why do people live here? This is insane. I get Miami's right there, right? You know, the beaches, the weather, I guess. You know, I heard that that's a pretty big draw for the state, but it's like I don't know if I want to live somewhere where one, I'm being like potentially hunted by gators and pythons, and two, it's like swampy there, so you got mosquitoes and other giant bugs I feel like would be there. Yeah, it's crazy. Or you can live in Texas where they have like a bunch of like wild pigs just ransacking farmlands and shit. Could you imagine that? They have seasons in Texas, I believe, that people can just go out and shoot these pigs because they are such an abundant and such a not a menace, but they're such. I guess you can. I think they're considered like a pest, not a pest. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, it's like kangaroos in Australia. They're it's a technical word I'm trying to think. It's right on the tip of my tongue. It's like when an animal is too much of in the population and it is causing damage to like homes and farmland and other people's properties. What is the word? I need to figure this out right now, or else I'm going to remember it within 20 minutes and I'll be like, oh, that's what I meant. So please pray for me right now because I'm trying to remember it as right now. An inconvenience. The animal is an inconvenience. That's probably not it, but it's what came to my head right now, and it sounds right. The animal is a big inconvenience, and it needs to be dealt with. At least the bulk of the population of that animal needs to be dealt with because it is not some place where people want to live. Which is, I mean, you would want to live there. I think people would live there anyway, but like it's something that they don't want to deal with. You know, the inconvenience of gators, snakes, pigs, coyotes, bears, you know. You wouldn't want to live there. It wouldn't be fun. What's crazy, though, is how people, in my opinion, can live and go places where there are active grizzly bear activity. Active grizzly bear activity in these areas. And I'm talking like Montana, Wyoming, Alaska. I'm not sure about Colorado if they have any grizzlies up there, but like anywhere you want to go, right? Live, camp, backpack, cabin, whatever, right? And you're like, you go there and you know in your mind that there's grizzly bears there. Why on earth would you do that? Unless you're packing heat to defend yourself, I don't think I would ever do that, I'll be honest with you. People in my family have been like, yo, I want to go to this national park where there's grizzly bears there. I'm like, why on earth would you do that? First of all, I get it that we'll be in a car and it probably would not happen to us. Nothing would probably happen. But there's always that slight chance, that small percentage of us being mauled by a grizzly bear could potentially happen. It's just... It's definitely something to worry about. You know, it's not something I want to be a part of. I don't want to be a part of a mauling. I'll be honest. Even if I talk a big fight, that I could take on a grizzly bear if I had to. If I absolutely had to take on a grizzly bear with a sword, of course I would have to do it, right? For my own sake, to live, I would have to. I don't want to, but I would have to. I don't want to actively go somewhere where I'm going to be swordless and just be like, yeah, I'm just hanging out. Yeah. All of a sudden, grizzly bear right there. It's like, no way. Like you can't, it's like, hey, you want to go, into a really dangerous environment, like for vacation? Like, no, get the hell out of here. If I'm going to go on vacation, man, I'm going to go in a place where I can't be, eaten by anything. Like the beach or like some like nice like beach house or something like that, or maybe even like a nice cabin where the cabin's like solidly built where a bear cannot get into it, you know. Even though you see videos of bears like crushing things left and right, you know, opening car doors and shit. It's like, whoa, these motherfuckers are desperate. They want that food. When I was young, we would always go camping in Yosemite, And one of the things that we would always stress about and we always worried about was making sure that the food was locked up in the campsite in the bear box. And you made sure that, whoever's in charge of the food, make sure it's locked up nice and tight. Because if you leave anything out, bear's going to make a ruckus and the bear might just, bash up your car. Let's say, you leave like a little thing like, my family made it so like we like stressed over this, right? We did not want anything to happen to anything. So we would lock up like toothpaste and chapstick and like if there was like a lotion that kind of smelled like a fruit or something like that, we locked that shit up because it was just too risky, because that could ruin your entire vacation, your entire time there. So we made sure. And I would always be like, you know what, bro? If a bear does come and he's sniffing around and I'm like awake to hear it, I might just scream out loud. Top of my lungs, just be like, help, help, bear. Even though like there are black bears in California, which are, big old pussies compared to the grizzly bears, I don't care. Like that thing is massive, massive compared to me. I wouldn't want anything to deal with it. I would be absolutely stunned if I saw a bear. One time my parents were actually hiking in Yosemite, and it was a group of people with them, and they were walking, and in front of them, like maybe like a few, maybe like 40 or 50 to 100 yards away which across the trail was like a couple bear cubs, and then after that, the mama bear trailed them, and then they just kind of halted in their tracks because it's like, once you come across a mama bear and her cubs, it's like game on, because that mama bear is going to unleash a primal instinct that she's had engineered in her body for thousands and thousands of years, if not millions of years, and to protect her kids, protect her cubs. And, a lot of people who get mauled by bears are due to the fact because of that. Because they wander upon and they see bear cubs and they're like, oh shit, mom's by. Oh fuck, dead. That's just what happens, It's crazy. Thank God no one got hurt. But I remember like hearing them say that. And they actually got pictures of that too. Like the bears and the cubs. And I was like, whoa, you guys like dodged a bullet there. Like I know like the bears aren't really known to attack people, like black bears really, and like get serious injuries or even deaths recorded in Yosemite. But like still, you don't want to chance that. You don't want to, you don't want to fuck around and like, make too much noise or scare bears, That'd be pretty crazy. Even though like a black bear is kind of just like a big like almost like a giant big raccoon. He's just a thief, a food thief. They don't really look to square up with people. They always say make loud noises. It scares the bears away. Like I don't know if that's gonna scare a mama bear away with her kids. Like I might need something more than that. And they always say take bear spray. Take this. Take bear spray, make sure you spray the bear right in the eyes. But it's like, what if I miss that? What if I miss the bear spray and I get myself instead? You would need something stronger. Maybe like a weapon, like a machine gun. That I'll take. If I was able to take a machine gun into Yellowstone, I would be so confident and so protected because ain't no fucking way that this bear's gonna fucking square up with me and take out me and my machine gun. No fucking way. I'd be much too protected. But then again, what if I miss with the machine gun and I'm toast? I saw a YouTube video where it was like a security cam of like some guy's backyard, and it actually captured him. Like a bear was coming at him, it was charging him. I guess he was trying to fend the bear away, but the bear didn't want to go away. I'm pretty sure it was a grizzly bear, and he was charging him. And then the guy had a shotgun. He pumped in 2 shotgun shells into the bear, and he just kind of stumbled a little bit and then took off running. Like that gun wasn't even strong enough to stop him in his tracks. Now, I didn't do any research prior to that. Like, did he have buckshot or birdshot? No idea. But still, if an animal's going to take a hit like that, where a human would be pretty much stopped dead in their tracks and at least, if not dead, crying of injury, and the bear just like kind of runs away and just shakes it off. I mean, that's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this whole Tom Brady situation, because it seems like the rumors are apparently true, which is strange. Now, if you don't know about this or what's happening, as you know, Tom Brady, the GOAT of football, probably the best athlete in American professional sports of all time. I mean, 7 Super Bowl championships, 6 with the Patriots, 1 with Tampa Bay in his first year there. At the age of 45, 7 rings. He surpasses Michael Jordan in terms of championships. So technically, he kind of is the GOAT, even if people still say Jordan. I mean, I still say that Jordan's the greatest like basketball player of all time. But Tom Brady might be the best athlete of all time. I mean, I don't know why that's even an argument, because football is so much different than basketball. But I don't know. Maybe that's just an overreaction. But he's definitely the best at football. Definitely the best quarterback of all time. And it's so hard because you can't, like, football is so like the athletes in football have so many different skill sets. Like there's quarterbacks and running backs and wide receivers, cornerback and safeties and linebackers and pass rushers and cornerbacks and all that. You really can't just say that he's the best football player of all time. I feel like you can't do that. Basketball, a lot of the skills of these players are kind of shared. Like everybody has to kind of be good at scoring and defending and layups and dunks and shooting. Everybody kind of has to do that to just, keep a well-rounded game. Michael Jordan was just the one I think that did it the best of anybody that we've ever seen. So definitely Tom Brady's like the best quarterback of all time. No question about it. Probably best football player too. I don't know. Like in terms of winning and his mentality to win and willing teams to win, probably the best competitor of all time, I think. In that sport at least. But some sad news became true. He last year he retired. About maybe a little bit less than 3 months later, he said, "No, I'm back. I'm back with the Bucks. Let's run it back. Let's do it again. I'm not satisfied with what happened the season before that, prior." And you heard things about like his home life, which I don't think is very, as people, as him being a celebrity sort of, or a famous athlete, or somebody in the spotlight, they're still just people. They got things that they're going through, whether it be public or private. They got things that they're going through, and as much as we want to know everything about these people, these celebrities, these athletes, these famous people, we got to give them some privacy, because you wouldn't want that out there, would you? You wouldn't want all your drama out there. You get nervous at the workplace, at your place of work, when people figure stuff out about you. Imagine the entire country, if not the world, knowing what's going down and with your relationship. I don't care if you're super famous and a millionaire. It still hurts one way or the other. It's going to hurt you. It's not going to feel good. So there was rumors, I think in like preseason, like midway through preseason, that Tom Brady's home life was not, let's just say, smooth sailing between him and Gisele Bundchen. And he took 11 days off of training camp to go home. He didn't say where he went, but we all kind of assumed that he went home and, had some family business to take care of, family stuff to deal with. So like, okay, cool, whatever. And for some reason, everybody was kind of like pointing at like Gisele and Tom are not doing well. I mean, I didn't have like a lot of information on that. I knew from interviews saying that Gisele kind of hated that he was in football for this long. She couldn't really stand how he was taking all these hits at such a old age, for football at least. He wasn't around the family enough. He he kind of like not hijacked, but kind of like derailed her career and wouldn't really allow her to do modeling all that much because of the NFL schedule and all that stuff. And she kind of wanted for him to retire. That way he can now be a father, like a full-time dad, and her being able to do modeling and stuff like that. This is all stuff that I've heard. I don't know if it's like super accurate or not, but like this is just what I've heard. And now that he came back and that he decided to unretire, I've heard that was the final straw. And that ever since that happened, it's been kind of tanking and going downhill. And now I think just today or a couple days ago, it was announced that they've hired divorce attorneys, both of them. It was kind of like reported like a couple little small outlets, and then I think even bigger outlets finally got the scoop on that story and like, yeah, it's true. Tom Brady and Gisele Bundchen look like they're going to be divorced, which is crazy. Crazy. We've always seen them in like the positivity, in the bright lights, in the best spots of their, I think their relationship. Everybody thought it was going so well, which we are all kind of inclined to thinking because they're private and we just don't know a whole bunch. Well, now with this happening, it's just like, whoa, that quick, huh? Like he just unretired, and they've been together for a long time. I don't know the exact years or how long it's been, but I think it's more than 10 years that they've been together. If not, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit less. They've been together for a while. It's just crazy, and I wonder if that's going to be affecting like his play. Because that whole business of like that, not being able to, work it out with your spouse, or your partner, or whatever. In this case, his wife, definitely has got to be impacting his football, or at least his professional life. I don't know. It's just crazy to think about that. It's like, whoa, and he probably wanted it to be as private as possible, of course, but people went digging, they found stuff, and now it's public. It's like, oof. Could you imagine something like that happening to you? That the whole news of, these people are getting divorced. It's like, whoa. I mean, come on, man. I don't want that to be public. It just doesn't feel good. And as much as we think that we can just say that whatever, he's famous, whatever, she's famous, they'll get over it. No, I mean, they're still people. It's still going to affect them in one way or the other, professionally, mentally. They have kids. I mean, that's going to be also publicized, like what happens with their kids. It's like, whoa. It's just not something you want to hear about or you want to see. Kind of crazy. Yeah, I just thought I'd touch up on that because it's kind of like weird and bizarre that, oh, shoot, it actually was real. It turns out that they were having problems, because I always thought it was bullshit. I just thought it was bullshit. I didn't think that it was really anything. Just like a tabloid-like headline, like, hey, look at this. They're not happy, but turns out they are not happy. Oh, man. That's crazy. I mean, at least it's better than, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's better news, but it definitely isn't as bad looking news as it was as Antonio Brown recently, what he did to that lady in the pool. Holy crap. If you guys haven't seen this, I mean, AB for some reason just won't go away. Like his antics will not go away. They just won't. I mean, I don't really want to like go into too far because it's pretty graphic. It's pretty nasty. He exposes himself in a public hotel pool to a bunch of people, and is just fucking. He's so like out of his mind. I'm not gonna say CTE, but he just looks like so like mentally ill, and what his actions are and what he does to this poor lady in the pool, like just like straight up, just like gets in her face. It's just like, whoa. Like how could like, and like you can see like his boys or his like friends like kind of like not like cheering him on, but like saying like, "Hey, it's AB. What are you gonna do? It's AB, AB. Yeah, the AB's cool." It's like, whoa. I don't know if you want to be a part of that at that moment, but like that was just uncalled for and pretty disgusting. Like really, just not a good move to do. And then even after that, when I think that he heard the news of Tom and Gisele breaking up, I think he posted like on Twitter like a Photoshop or like a picture of him and Gisele like hugging on the football field, I think, which was even like more bizarre. Like, dude, like, like who do you like, and do they like does anybody even like this guy anymore? Like, not like fans of his football play as a football player and a receiver, but like, does anybody actually like this guy, like as a friend? Like, does he retain friends for that long? Because I remember Antonio Brown was like solely saved by Tom Brady. People did not want him on their teams after what he had done to the Steelers and the Raiders and even the Patriots when Tom was on the Patriots still. The teams did not want him at all. And then Tom was like, you know what, come to the Bucks, come down to Tampa, live at my house. I'll keep an eye on you, and let's win this ring. And they won a ring together. And then after that, it's just been so bizarrely like weird. You know, he does his whole antics at the Jets game where he melts down and quits on the field, and then just this pool stuff and just kind of tries to expose everybody and take everybody down, going on podcasts. Truly like just weird shit, you know? Like it's almost like he's made so many enemies and wants to take them down one by one, and has like a team of people, I guess, running his social media who are just all in on it. Or, you know, of course like AB is going to pay them to do that stuff, but it's like, whoa, like those guys on his team, like what's their conscience like? Like, what are they thinking? Like, are they going to be like, yeah, I'll post this because fuck Tom Brady, I guess, even though he did nothing to me? I truly need like someone to like truly diagnose AB and see what is wrong with AB, because I think that we have gone far too long assuming what is wrong with AB. We need to know definitively what is wrong with AB and just figure it out, because that is a case that I think a lot of people in the NFL are going to want to, and even just people in general want to know what's up with this guy. I mean, for Christ's sakes, we still don't have the audio from when he did his little outburst at the Jets game in MetLife Stadium. Like, we don't know truly to this date what truly happened. You know, in terms of audio and video, what was actually captured. You know, and I've said it before, if we don't get it now or soon, we'll never get it. And even if they do release something, it's probably going to be doctored or edited, because if it wasn't, why didn't they just release it when it happened? You know, that was just such a big mystery, you know, for weeks of like what actually was said, what caused this, and everybody had different sides of the story and said different things, and it's just like, oh no, none of this is adding up one bit. Like, this has got to go to court or something, because it's not making any sense. But I think what made a lot of sense, to me at least, and this is not about AB or Tom Brady, but, and this is by the way, this is like some NFL drama. So by the way, if like, I'm sorry if I'm disappointing some people, but this is just what kind of caught my eye this past week. Last Thursday night football game, Dolphins versus the Bills. I think, was it the Bills? I can't remember. No, the Bengals. Dolphins and the Bengals. Yeah, sorry. Tua Tagovailoa's injury. We got to talk about this. That was no back injury for sure, right? I think that was reported or clarified in the broadcast shortly after he was taken to the hospital. That happens when you sustain head trauma and, like a concussion or a blow to the head. And if you guys didn't see it, what happened was it looked like, he was brought down and he was pulled down by the defender or the pass rusher, and his back kind of hit the ground and then followed by his head, which I didn't think that the head got hit the ground as hard as it did the week before. But, nonetheless, he seized up, and it was so weird. Like his hands were like all bent and contorted in some weird way. His fingers were like all like pointing in different directions. He couldn't like take his hands away from the front of his face. And I was just like, whoa, I've never, ever seen that in my entire life. And it actually freaked me the fuck out. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? This is so terrible. This is so bad. You do not want to see this at all. Don't get me wrong, I think the worst one I've ever seen was when Ryan Shazier went limp and never really moved again after that. That was horrible as well. And this is one even before that, I think. I think if you guys remember, if you guys are football fans, you remember Jermichael Finley on the Packers? I think it was like maybe 2011, 12. He got a neck injury too and just never came back. I don't know if he got like paralyzed or if it kind of happened like Ryan Shazier, but like that ended his career. And I remember watching that live. Like, oof. I think it was like also like the Packers throwback uniforms too. Like it was like the kind of like navy blue shirt or jersey with like the yellow circle and then the number in the middle, and then like the plain yellow helmets. It was a nasty injury, but like the Tua one, just like the way he looked, the way his body reacted to that one truly freaked me out. And like I'm gonna call out like Amazon right now. I mean, how many times have we got to see that replay, man? I mean, that truly was something I've never seen before on the football field happen. I don't think I've ever seen something like that happen, where his body just seized up in such a weird position. Like that was insane. I could not believe what had happened there, and I don't like. You never want to see that happen. And I think, like, the speculation also before that, too. Let's talk about that. Because immediately people were thinking, like, well, was he truly fine to play in that game? Was he truly fine to play against the Bengals on that Thursday night? Having what we saw happen the Sunday before, when he kind of stumbled after he just whacked his head on the floor, on the ground. And then you saw that game. He tripped over himself a lot. He kind of shook his head, trying to get himself straight. He did not look great after that hit either. But he played the rest of the game, ended up winning. It was done right there. It was done, right? Then he, obviously what happens. He seizes up. His hands are in a weird position. And then people start yapping and talking. Well, was he okay to play? Right? I'm pretty sure that argument was just in the spur of the moment. That conversation was in the spur of the moment, and then people were like overreacting a tad, because I think that I'm pretty sure NFL players go through like intense evaluations every single day at their facilities, right up until before the games. You good? Can you see this, that good? And even in practice, right? I mean, I'm sure something would have shown up the days before the game if he was not cool to play, right? Like he would have been dizzy, maybe vomiting. I believe that those are symptoms of being concussed. If he's not able to remember certain things or he can't see well, that probably are also things that are symptoms of being concussed. I'm pretty sure all those boxes were checked off. Like, no, you're good to go. It just happened to be like a very unlucky play, a very unlucky hit and a drag down, and just very unlucky that happened. And the fact that is that two situations like that happened back-to-back weeks started churning up some type of like, was he okay narrative, I definitely, like, there's like, speculation for sure. Like, was he okay? Did the NFL or the Dolphins, launch an investigation? Because this was just, like, horrible to watch. And if he wasn't okay, why'd you put him out there? If he wasn't, I believe that he was just because of the NFL's testing and all that, right? He had to have been good. There's no way. You would never have thought that. But, that just kind of became the topic of conversation. Like, well, was he? I believe that he was. But I'm not as easy to convince. Other people are going to be like, no, this guy was not okay one bit. Why'd you put him out there? But that was never really brought up. Not by the head coach or even Tua. Nobody on the team. It's like, you seem fine. We all kind of forgot about it and just moved on. But yeah, ultimately just a crazy couple days. A crazy few days and a couple weeks, actually, for the NFL in terms of, concussion protocols and player safety. Truly crazy. Truly crazy. I was talking about this yesterday with my friends. We were talking about House of the Dragon. I kind of want to bring that up here because I think we in this conversation we kind of discovered something about the show and how I think it's different from Game of Thrones and maybe not the best way. Although I find the show very, very good. Like on a perspective of like dialogue and setup and even characters, I feel like the show at the moment is like very, very neutral for me. Very neutral. Like, I don't really love a whole lot of the characters. Or I haven't like picked a side yet. If I'm being more transparent. Like, I haven't chosen who I root for. Or who I don't like and don't like. And I feel like with this season, it's kind of like, building up to the conflict of what's going to happen. Because I haven't read any of the books. I don't know what's going to happen or who will, what will happen to certain characters. I'm just watching it, raw and seeing it raw. But at the moment, I wouldn't say it's like better than Game of Thrones, only because of like how like neutral everything is and how bleak everything is. Like the Valerians and the Targaryens and stuff like that, and the characters like Rhaenyra and Viserys and all these other guys. In terms of rootability, I think like in Game of Thrones, you had immediately like the Starks were the heroes. They were the heroes and the Lannisters were the bad guys. And you could root for the Starks. I remember when I first saw it, man. I was a big Ned Stark guy. And I was like, yes, give me more Ned Stark. Ned, Robb Stark, Jon Snow, give me more of that. I know what we're playing with, and I see our boys. Those are our boys. Winterfell, that's home right there, I feel that. I felt that from episode 1 and onward. I'm not getting any of that feel really in House of the Dragon, I'll be honest with you. I don't really give a shit about House Targaryen just because they seem like they're just fighting amongst each other, which is cool in its own way, right? Like, right, it's different from Game of Thrones. It's a different show, obviously. And I think that's, the beauty and also like the challenge of writing something like House of the Dragon, where it's just an internal fight. And the title itself, it just lets you know that this is about the Targaryens and their inner war and conflict between each other. But I think right now the biggest weakness of this show is that we still don't have really a clear-cut, I guess, hero and villain. Everyone's kind of a hero and kind of a villain, and they're kind of being built up in that way. And I think now, after this last episode that premiered on Sunday, we're seeing more of like the trajectory of where this show can go, without spoiling anything. Obviously, I'm not gonna spoil shit. But I think now we're getting a clear like vision of where this show is heading and what might happen in the future, which I hope is better than what it is right now, because I still think it's really, really good. I really do. Production-wise, dialogue, acting, characters, lack of action, I will say. I mean, like, I don't remember there being a whole lot of action in the first season of Game of Thrones, but I feel like just with this show, besides like episode 3 and like a few scenes here and there, like not a whole lot of action has happened, and it's just like, meh, The talking's cool, the inner politics is very cool, but it's like, we're in Game of Thrones here. Let's get some battles going. Let's see some sword fights. I want to see more of that shit. But it will come, I hope. I think that it's, going in the right direction. Definitely no short of smut in this show. I mean, Jesus Christ. I won't spoil shit, but like, holy crap, this is a Game of Thrones show. This is full on Game of Thrones with the romance and shit. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're not caught up, you will see eventually what I'm talking about. Definitely, they don't shy away from that. They made that their staple. I get it, old times, medieval type fantasy times. You want to keep the bloodline strong, right? But let's just say I don't agree with those customs. I think that it's kind of like nasty, disgusting. Like, ugh. It always just kind of be like, and they always go hard on it too, right? Game of Thrones is just known for being blatant and true and shoving that shit down your throat. They still don't. They don't pull away on this either. Like, nope, this is what it's based off of. This is what happened back then, and we're going to remind you of how it was back in these types of days. Even though it's a fantasy show, it's based on history. But yeah, hopefully it turns out well. It's got a direction where I can see it going, at least in this season. It's building to like an eruption, I feel like. An eruption between the houses. I'm seeing it, and it's all about execution. And for their next seasons going forward, are we going to have clear-cut sides being taken, or is it just going to be neutral again, like a Cold War type thing, and just like a, what's going to happen? We got to get there, and I feel like it's going to get there sooner, hopefully sooner. I mean, the season ends within 3 more episodes, so it's like, what's going to go down? If it sticks to true Game of Thrones fashion, the 9th episode should be a banger, which I don't know if it's going to be like that, but if it stays to that type of, the penultimate being the best episode or one of the best episodes of the season, we should be looking at a banger soon, I think that, we can only look up, right? I mean, given that, I know it's not written by those Game of Thrones guys that wrote Game of Thrones, but hopefully they take some of their, what they did in the past that was successful and kind of like do it again over here just to see if it, makes an impact. I don't know. Anybody know what those Game of Thrones guys are actually doing nowadays? Like, I remember like they signed like a giant deal to make Star Wars content, but I think that all fell through, right? I think that after, and this was like before season 8 came out of Game of Thrones too. A bunch of deals with that. Got like a Netflix deal for certain things, and I haven't seen anything that had their name on it since Game of Thrones season 8 came out. I think that people were like, hey, y'all are just like not really talented and should be purged of all creativity, leadership. Like, you're done. After what you did with Game of Thrones, piss off, and how much control you had. Like, oh, we don't need any more seasons. We got it with an 8, It's like, whoa, I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. Luckily, it seems like they've lost their Star Wars stuff, their Netflix stuff, which I don't want to root for. I'll be honest. I don't want to say like, yeah, these guys don't have a job. I'm happy. But I think people just got scared. Executives got scared. Like, oh, these guys have a bad taste in people's mouths now of what they did with Game of Thrones. Maybe that's what happened. Like, poor reception of what you did in Game of Thrones. We kind of got to hold off on this stuff. which is crazy because they had signed deals prior to that even coming out. And it's like, uh-oh. Now you got contract issues and shit that are probably going to be under wraps. Disney's probably going to have to pay them a ton of money for shit like this. It's not my problem, though, thank God. Anyways, people, that's going to be it today. That's going to be it for the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or topics you want to hit me up with, or you want to send, you want requested, you want something for me to talk about, you always can do that. In every podcast description is a link to my social medias where you can DM me or whatever, contact me through that. You can always leave a comment on YouTube and all that, and make sure to leave a like and a review. And you can find all podcast episodes on Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. All right, guys, thank you for listening, and thank you for watching. I will see you guys next week.